developing news to report out of Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has reportedly accepted a proposed deal to end the war with Russia. There are some, quote, minor details, end quote, that still need to be worked out. That's according to a U.S. official. So right now we want to bring in our Scripps News Deputy Political Director Joe St. George live from Capitol Hill to help me break down, Joe, what we know and what we don't know at this point. So what are we learning this morning?
Yeah, what we do and what we don't know, I think, is a big question. This is obviously a developing story. We'll be following it throughout the day. But we told you on Monday, we told you yesterday that Ukraine was the big thing to watch this week because of what happened Sunday in Switzerland with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, his Ukrainian counterparts, calling the meeting one of the most, if not the most, productive meeting on trying to end the Russia-Ukraine war yet. Breaking this hour, I'm just going to share what the top of CNN.com is right now. Quote, and I'm quoting CNN, U.S. official says Ukraine agrees to a deal. Zelenskyy says much work ahead. CBSNews.com. Quote, Ukraine agrees to peace deal, only minor details left, official says. I'm citing CBS and CNN because we here at the Scripps News Group do not have that independently confirmed. We're working our sources as fast as we can to try to get more information here. We do have a social media post from one of Zelenskyy's advisors on Twitter. Now, I do want to caution this was posted about 5 hours or so ago. This is from Rustem Umarov. We appreciate the productive and constructive meeting held in Geneva between the Ukrainian and American delegations, as well as President Trump's unwavering efforts aimed at ending the war. Our delegations have reached a common understanding regarding the key terms of the agreement discussed in Geneva. Now we are counting on the support of our European partners in the next step. We expect the organization of a visit by the President of Ukraine to the United States at the earliest possible date in November to finalize the final stages and reach an agreement with President Trump. Now, it's November 25th, so trying to get this done before the end of November. We're talking just days here. The one thing, the one person we're waiting for is President Trump. But we've seen him throughout 2025. If there truly is a deal, he likes to do it himself with a big, splashy Truth Social post. We haven't yet heard from the President of the United States on this front. We will hear from him later today, not at a scheduled Ukraine event, but at the turkey pardon ceremony at the White House. So reporters will at least be able to yell questions at him. Perhaps he'll provide us a status report on where things stand, but potentially massive news developing this morning, Stephanie, involving Ukraine, Russia, the long, bloody conflict, the bloodiest conflict in Europe, in Eastern Europe. A reason to be cautiously optimistic, but at the same time, right, we've been at moments before in this long war where we thought this might be coming to an end, or we thought there might be something on the horizon. The big player in all of this is President Putin. How does Moscow respond in the coming hours, I think is going to be massively consequential to see if this is a truly monumental news story breaking today, or this ends up being a bump along the roads. Stay tuned. This is going to be our top story, it looks like, throughout the day.
Certainly it will, Joe. And, you know, from that post that you shared from the Ukrainian official saying we're going to count on our European partners, I also noticed on Volodymyr Zelenskyy's X account today, he was talking about all the European leaders he was meeting with today and having phone calls. He had the president of Finland. He had the German chancellor on the phone earlier today. Spoke with the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. So those conversations with European partners, certainly from social media, seems like they are happening today in Ukraine. So and I know our White House team is working to try to get some information confirmed as quickly as we can. But as we talk about a possible peace deal, it's those final details that might make or break something. Some of those details could be tough ones to work out if it's like any other type of big key negotiation.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up, Stephanie, because what we're clearly seeing in the last several days, right, beginning with what Secretary of State Marco Rubio accomplished in Switzerland, is this sense that many hurdles were overcome. But when you're dealing with a situation like this, you may have 20 boxes checked, but it's that 21st unchecked box or that 22nd unchecked box that could blow up an entire deal. We know that any type of agreement is going to fundamentally answer a few questions, right? And certainly the world hopes that we may be near peace, right? Who doesn't want to root for peace, especially in the hours before Thanksgiving? But there needs to be a question answers as to whether or not Ukraine could ever join NATO or not. Remember the power of joining NATO. The power of joining NATO is that you get Article 5 protections. If one country's hit, everybody's hit. There's really strong military protections. Putin and Russia has been trying to block Ukraine joining NATO for years and years. How does that get resolved in any hypothetical peace deal? Two, what does Ukraine's military presence look like going forward long term? Ukraine and President Zelenskyy have repeatedly said they need to be able to defend themselves from future potential aggression from Russia. Well, Russia, meanwhile, they don't want a massive military on their border either. So that's another fundamental question. But what was this war always about? Really, from day one, it's about land. What do the borders of Eastern Europe look like? Again, when you're talking about potential news on a deal, the big question is, has Zelenskyy changed his posture from where it was for so many years? And that was, we're fighting to take back all of Ukraine. We're not willing to give up any territory currently occupied by Russia. Or has that changed at all? Will Putin's Russia, will the borders of Putin's Russia change as a direct result of, again, of any possible deal? Those are the three things that we're looking for. And they're not easy answers, especially when it comes to that land question, which Zelenskyy has fought for and been so adamant and honest about for so many years.
Indeed, Joe, and often in these types of big negotiations, sometimes it's the toughest issue, it's the stickiest problems that often get pushed back to the very end to try to figure those out. And whether or not Ukraine agrees to the deal, that's part of it. But we also need